Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV, and hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and we have a special event for you today. We are being joined by one of our team members here at USA Global TV. She is our special correspondent for all things related to travel. Her name is SANDY.ADAMS, and she is a certified travel advisor and has her own business. She's been traveling all through the pandemic safely, obviously, and she's here today to tell us about some special travel promotions as well as new updates on COVID travel regulations. Let's welcome SANDY.ADAMS to the program. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, thanks. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well, although I am having a tough time readjusting to the cold after being in the Caribbean for 9 days.
Oh my goodness. You know, I love the fact that you are out there and bringing us information about what's going on in the world, because for many people, there's still that fear factor. They're still afraid, and others are just like, you know what, I've had enough. I've got to get out. And you are just the person to call, because making travel plans, especially in what's going on in the times today, you don't know what's going to happen, but you do. You know what's happening where, and you can help people and be that extra resource for them.
Absolutely. I think it's really a critical time to have a travel advisor to work with to just help navigate all the ins and outs, from both the planning of the actual trip to all of the COVID requirements. There are country requirements, there's tour provider requirements, there's cruise line requirements, and they're continually changing as things have done throughout this pandemic. So it's really important to have somebody on your team to help you navigate all that and know the right things when you're heading out the door so you can be prepared to have a fabulous vacation.
Absolutely. And Sandy, we are going to talk about your recent cruise as well as the travel promotions and some of the updated regulations. But first, I want to spotlight you, and I want you to share with our audience everything they need to know about cruise planners, because you're so much more than just planning for a cruise. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. Well, my name is SANDY.ADAMS, and my business is Cruise Planners, but I do both land and sea vacations. And when I look over the time I've been in this business, I've actually done more land vacations than sea vacations. So when I talk about land, what am I talking about? All inclusives, Disney World, trips to Europe are just some of the things that I've done, as well as rail journeys through the out west and into Canada. There's all kinds of travel opportunities on land. And some just interesting facts. Cruise Planners, as a company, is the #1 seller of Sandals vacations. Yes, you heard that right. The #1 worldwide seller of Sandals vacations. And we're also at the top of selling several other companies, both land and sea. So we've been in this business for 27 years. Cruise Planners has been in the business for 27 years. As Dr. JACALYN mentioned, full service. I help my clients with all the planning. I meet with them up front. We have a conversation, talk about where they want to go, what they're interested in. I provide proposals. And then once we identify what their trip is, I help them with excursions, with air, if they need help with that, make sure they have everything they need, all in this day and age, all the COVID requirements, country requirements. I remind them about their passports, very important. And I make sure that they have everything. I am their number one advocate. When you're working with me and you have a question and you call our phone number, I'm the one that answers the phone. You're not talking to a call center. And I'm the one that advocates for you and gets you everything that you need, so that all you have to do is pack your bags and be on your way to a fabulous vacation and building wonderful memories.
Sandy, congratulations on that designation from Sandals. That's huge.
Yes. Cruise Planners has been the number one, I think, for 3 or 4 years. And that's just, that's really neat. And I love Sandals. I've been to one. I'm going to be going to another one, which I'll touch on later. And yeah, they're fabulous, as are all of our all-inclusives. And yeah, I just love doing this, and I love helping people get ready for fabulous vacations.
And I've been to one Sandals property. I don't remember, but I had a great time. And I'd love for you to just share a little bit about Sandals for people who are not familiar with it. And then if we can go into your magazine, and then we'll go into the cruise.
Okay, sure thing. The Sandals is actually celebrating their 40th anniversary. They're only in the Caribbean. They're an all-inclusive, adult, couples only, all-inclusive. The food is fabulous. Lots of choices. And when I say all-included, from all the water sports are available. Some have golf. Those properties that have golf courses, the golfing is free. The greens fee is free, I should say. In some places, a caddy is required, but in comparison to what you pay for caddies at other golf courses, you're talking around $50 for a caddy at Sandals. And you can golf as often as you want if you're a golfer. Again, they offer all kinds of water sports at their properties. Some have other sporting type things. The beaches are beautiful. The pools are beautiful. The evening entertainment is absolutely wonderful, and all different room types. The last year when I did a visit to the Sandals in St. Lucia, I stayed at the Grand St. Lucian, and I had a swim out room, and it was fabulous to get up in the morning, and if you wanted to swim out of your room, you could do that. So I just sat there in the morning and wiggled my toes in the refreshing water. But the beaches are beautiful. They're so well kept. Probably the thing that they're most known for are their over-the-water bungalows, and those are absolutely beautiful. Very hard to get into. You have to plan ahead for that. Their Sandals is a great place for destination weddings, and they are experts at that. They set everything up. It's pretty seamless, and it's just a wonderful vacation because everything's included, and you can really just sit back, relax, eat great food, and just spend a wonderful time together. That's what Sandals is all about.
Wonderful. And can you share a little bit about your magazine?
I certainly can. So here's our travel magazine. It's called the Travel Planner, and we put this out twice a year. It has I shouldn't say all, it has many of the promotions that we have going through that period of time. There's opportunities to enter to win. And in this magazine, it's for a river cruise on Avalon, 7-day river cruise for entering. Also, when you book things through that are in our magazine, there are also gifts associated with that as well. Great promotions. There's all kinds of promotions going on right now. And just to highlight a few of them, doing a vacation in Peru, if that's what you're interested in, from all the cruise lines have great promotions going on. Rail journeys are hot. One place in the US that is really hot this year, even though it's cold, is Alaska. Alaska is filling up very quickly because they lost their season in 2020. In 2021, there was just a partial season. So many of the people who had trips planned over the last 2 years have moved their trips to 2022. So it's filling up very quickly, but it's a fabulous place. That's one of the best vacations I've ever taken, is going to Alaska. So I highly recommend that. You might want to know how you can get this magazine. You can go to my website, and there's a banner on my website, and you can click on it, and that will take you to the digital magazine. The other way to get it is you can provide your your mailing address or your email, and then I can reach out to you and get your mailing address, and then we can get one mailed off to you. And you see on the screen is my website address, and there is a banner on the front, and it says "Revive Your Travel Story." Oops, not really good at holding things up.
Fabulous. And Sandy, while you have that there, can you just explain the relationship you have with American Express also? I think a lot of people will be interested in that.
Oh, absolutely. So we are an American Express travel representative. And what that means is that I am able to provide my clients with all the benefits that they are entitled to with an American Express card. So for instance, if you are an American Express Platinum or Centurion card holder, I'm able to get you additional amenities when you cruise. I'm also able to take care of paying with points. People who use American Express cards accumulate their points and often want to use those points for travel. So I'm able to assist them with that. I'm also able to help my clients with the American Express hotel programs, and as well as helping them earn membership rewards for using their American Express card. We also are able to tap into American Express's exclusive pricing that they have on tours and on cruises. So in addition to our own at Cruise Planners, we are also able to dip into American Expresses. So lots of opportunity for us to provide those things that an American Express card holder expects from travel.
Thank you, Sandy. And I'm really excited to talk about your cruise. I was following you on social media, and we've got some great pictures. Can you talk a little bit about the fact that there are different types of cruises, obviously different cruise lines? How does someone know what type of cruise to plan and which cruise line to go on? And I know you bring a lot of value in that area as well.
Absolutely. And there is one of the prime reasons it's good to work with a travel advisor, because as I mentioned earlier, I will speak with my clients and talk about the different types of travel that they've done in the past, and get a good idea of what it is they look for when they travel. And that helps me to match them up with a cruise line that is going to meet their needs and what they're looking for in that cruise vacation. So there's different kinds of cruise lines, as you mentioned. Okay, so there are the family-oriented cruise lines, such as Royal Caribbean and Carnival and NCL. really and Princess that provide a lot for families. Then there are cruise lines that, and a new cruise line on the scene is Virgin Voyages, and that actually only caters to adults. So then there are your premium cruise lines, which are cruise lines like Celebrity and Oceana, which are have more in-depth itineraries, longer cruises, big focus on gourmet food, and really focus on the off the ship experience as well. The smaller ships are able to go into those ports that larger ships can't get to. So it really enables their guests to get a more enriching experience by traveling on those. And then there are the luxury cruise lines like Cunard and Regent Seven Seas and Silver Seas, just to name a few, that again have amazing itineraries, are more all-inclusive. As you move up the ladder, they become more and more all-inclusive. So Regent Seven Seas, for instance, which I had the opportunity to cruise on last fall, there was nothing extra that we had to pay for, with the exception of a couple of excursions that we wanted a more elevated experience. When we went to Ephesus to visit the archaeological digs, they also offered a excursion that we needed to pay for with an archaeologist that actually had participated, actually done diggings there for 40 years. So we paid for that. Otherwise, there were a couple of included excursions that were available. So as you move up the cruise line to the more luxury lines, it's more included. Then there is river cruising, which is very popular in Europe. There's also river cruises in Asia, and there's also river cruises here in the United States. Viking is starting to do cruises on the Mississippi here. American Cruise Lines has been doing cruises out west on the Snake River, along the Mississippi, and up and down the East Coast for many years, as has Victory Cruise Lines, as well as American Queen Steamboat, which also does a lot in Lake Michigan. So a wide variety of cruising opportunities. I also didn't mention that there's even yachting cruise experiences that are available. Ritz-Carlton does several cruises that are yacht-based. And then there's a couple of other companies as well. If you're looking for an experience of a mast ship, there's Star Clippers. And that is an amazing experience. I have clients that have previously cruised on that and absolutely love that experience. And they even let you jump off the boat in the middle of the ocean. Is just one of the things that they offer. In addition to being able, again, as smaller ships, they're able to get into ports that the larger ships can't, so they can get a more enriching experience to explore the places that they're visiting.
Thank you, Sandy. You do such a thorough job of presenting all the information. I really love it. We are going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from two of our sponsors, and then we'll come back. We're going to look at some photographs that Sandy has from her cruise. I'm excited about this. And then we'll talk about some additional restrictions, where it's safe to travel and maybe where we need to give a second thought. But any and every case, we need to call Sandy because she's the one who has all the latest information. Okay, the first clip we're going to look at is actually a friend of the channel, USA Global TV. His name is Paul Connolly. He's in the UK, and there's a major feature film coming out about his story. He depicted all of it in his book Against All Odds, and now it's been made into a motion picture, which is called Big Boys Don't Cry. And after that, we'll watch a very short music video by one of our team members, Madeline Chan, called Follow Love, and then we'll be right back with Sandy. Stay with us.
That place. Those people.
We need to talk to you about your time growing up in St Leonard's Children's Home. 6 of your 8 housemates committed suicide, Mr. Connolly. I'm afraid I have to tell you that another child in your care home, Liam Carroll, has also recently taken his own life.
Jason. Andrew. I need to find some people. I said get out! I've got to end them! Ah!
If you want to be spending the rest of your life in prison, boy, I'm happy to tell you what you need to know.
By your love, what you're giving me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now, just follow love. Love will take you there. Just follow love. Follow me. Just follow love. Love will take you there. Just follow love. Follow me. Follow love.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. This is a special event because we have Sandy Adams here with us. She is a special correspondent on our team. She is all things related to travel. She has her own company, Cruise Planners, and she is a certified travel advisor, your partner, your teammate when you're making plans to travel and also when you are traveling. Sandy, tell us about your cruise and let's bring up these photographs to show people.
I had a fabulous time sailing on Celebrity Equinox. We departed on the 21st of January for a 9-night cruise that went to Bimini and had a couple of days at sea. Then we visited Bonaire, Curacao, and Aruba, and then had a couple of more days at sea, and then arrived back in Fort Lauderdale. So it was fabulous. The food was great. There were 1,000 passengers on the ship. That ship normally at full capacity would have over 3,000 passengers. So there was lots of room available to move around. Got to meet some really great people. Spent some time at the pool. Spent some time just wandering around the ship, talking to people. And as Dr. JACALYN mentioned, there are some pictures from our travels. Probably one of my favorite things to do when I cruise is to get up really early in the morning so that I can see the sunrise. I just think it is such a wonderful way to start the day. And so I make it a point to do that. And here is just one of the pictures. This was at an at-sea day. And I'm at the back of the ship, as you might be able to tell from that picture, as you can see, looking at the water. And it was just magnificent. And it just starts my day off so nicely. That is something I really look forward to. And getting up early just to see it makes me feel good. And then I continued with a 2-mile walk when I was done taking pictures of the sun. Another thing that I really enjoy doing is just interacting with the staff, getting to know them. And they are just so excited about being back at sea because during the pandemic, they went home and they didn't have jobs. And it was just as it was so difficult for all of us here, it was very difficult for them. So they are just so happy to be back. And when we get to your stateroom, you normally meet your stateroom attendant, and they usually ask you what you need. And so what my sister and I, who we traveled together on this trip, we let Xavier know that we wanted ice in the room every day, and we like towel animals. And he said, "Oh, I don't do towel animals, but I'll figure it out." And so, as you can see from this picture, this we took the night before we got off the ship. For a guy who doesn't do towel animals, he did an amazing job. There's a monkey that's hanging in the background. We got a frog. We have an elephant, a polar bear, a dinosaur, a turtle, and a couple of other animals that I wasn't too sure about. But we had one every night. So it was so fun, and we so appreciated that. It just kind of made our day. And each time we would come into the room, he would have them set up. I think the first day we had the elephant, and with the elephant was our stuffed animals. When I travel, I take a stuffed animal with me, and so does my sister. And he had them all positioned reading the daily planner that they put in your room each day. And he just did fun things like that with the stuffed animals. He hung the one that you could see in the background, the monkey and all. So that's the kind of stuff that we really enjoy. The other things that I like to do is visit different places. And one of the places that we went to this time was to Curacao. And we did a tour of Curacao. And when we were done with that, we went to the synagogue that is in Curacao, which happens to be the oldest in-use synagogue in the Americas. And I think I have a picture there. It's really interesting because it has a sand floor, and it is just remarkable. I so want to be there on a Friday or Saturday night just to be able to participate in a service there. So in addition to the synagogue, which you see, there's a small museum there that tells the the history of the synagogue, as well as the history of the Jews in Curacao. And they have a tour there that dates to the 13th century, which is very cool. So that was an enriching experience. And then another thing another place we went was Aruba. And in Aruba, we had an opportunity to go to the Aloe factory. And I have a picture of the aloe. And it's amazing what you can do with aloe. I learned an awful lot from we traditionally hear of it in terms of when we have sunburns to cool down our sunburns, but they make hand creams with them, shampoos, soaps. And it was really interesting learning the process of how the aloe is taken from the plants. And they actually end up using the entire plant. They take the aloe out, and then the stuff that remains, they use it to make compost for their aloe fields. And this was the aloe field that was right outside the factory that we visited. Some of the other pictures I had were of our touring around Aruba. There's a picture of the lighthouse on Aruba. That's a couple of 100 years old. That's my sister and I standing out in front of it. We also went to a place called Natural Bridges, and unfortunately, we're no longer able to walk over it because, due to erosion, it is not stable. But it's really quite lovely to look at. And we're on the north side of Aruba, and there's absolutely no development. Development is forbidden on this part of the island. And so you really get a chance to enjoy the nature and the power of the ocean. I think I have another picture that really doesn't capture the waves as if I had a video, but very powerful on that side of the island. And you can just see these waves kind of crashing in. So Aruba is a fabulous place to visit. I've been there 3 times. Great place for land vacations. I have some clients that will be heading there this spring and summer to stay at some of the resorts there. Although they do have some all-inclusives, the food in Aruba is so fabulous, and there are so many restaurants that many people opt not to stay at the all-inclusives and instead stay in the Palm Beach area where there are, as I mentioned, lots of restaurants. If you're into bowling, there's a bowling center there, movie theaters there, and just about any kind of restaurant you can imagine. I've been to another restaurant, a different part of Aruba, that is more local food, and the local food is also really amazing. So I really encourage people who go to Aruba to get out and really discover all the different foods and, of course, the wonderful nature.
Thank you, Sandy. I love those pictures, and it looks like you and your sister had a great time, which I love too. I'm wondering, for people who want to start planning, right? The summer is around the corner, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And I know you can work with people anywhere in the world, correct?
I can work with people in the U.S. and in Canada.
Okay, U.S. But if they want to travel outside the
Oh,
United
absolutely.
States, yeah, perfect. So when should they start booking if they want to travel outside the United States? And are there places that you would recommend maybe putting off until the following year, or places that you think? You mentioned Aruba, but what about going to Europe or going to Australia or New Zealand? I know people like to go to really, they want to scuba dive or snorkel. They want to take in the water. So what are your thoughts about any of those places?
Well, Europe is open. There are restrictions over there. Several countries in Europe are if they haven't already started requiring it, will be requiring a booster shot to visit. Also, many countries, even if they do require proof of vaccination, also require a COVID test upon entering. But they are open and they want people to come and visit. They just want people to come and visit safely. So, as I mentioned, countries like the Netherlands, France, Greece, Croatia, Austria are requiring or will be requiring the booster shot in order to visit without quarantine and the like. New Zealand and Australia are still really restrictive in terms of visiting. And so, for instance, the cruise lines are not operating there this season, because now would be the time, because they're in the opposite hemisphere. This is their summertime, and that's when cruise lines are generally there. So for the most part, this cruising season was canceled over there. They are allowing visitors, but it's still very restrictive. So that isn't a place that I would be going to in the short term. But I think as we come out of the winter, they had started to open up in November before we got hit with Omicron, and I think that they will continue on that path. For the most part, Australians as well as New Zealanders are vaccinated. There's been a big push in those countries. I do have some friends in Australia, and they're able to move around pretty freely. It's just that they've been quite reluctant about allowing in people from outside, at this point. So probably hold off on that. But if you're interested in those two places, 2023, it's not too early to be planning for that. I am already booked on a cruise to do around New Zealand for April of 2023. So, because of COVID, both tour operators, meaning, land tour operators, as well as cruise lines, have opened up their sailings and their tours through 23 for the most part. So, you can always get the best pricing for both cruises and for land vacations when you book early. So it's not too early for those two countries. For Europe, you can safely plan to go there. You just have to follow the requirements for both entry requirements and the visiting requirements. As I had talked about on our show in December, I had the opportunity to go to Europe, and I spent 2.5 weeks there at the end of October and in November. And it was very easy to get around. People really wanted you there. Some places wanted you to wear a mask, and you had to prove that you were vaccinated. Otherwise, it was very simple to get around. So Europe's open. National parks are really big. As I mentioned earlier, Alaska is really big. So if you're not feeling like you want to leave the country, there are things to do here. Many people might not know this, but there are cruises to the Caribbean year-round, not just in our winter time. So there's that opportunity if you want to kind of stay close to home. There's opportunities to go to Mexico and to go to the Caribbean for both land and sea vacations. And if you're looking for excitement and to do something that not many people have the opportunity to do, expedition travel is becoming big. And when I say expedition travel, I'm talking about visiting places such as Antarctica and the Arctic Circle. There are cruises that go to Antarctica typically from November through March timeframe. And I have several colleagues who have gone this year, and I've been watching their pictures, and it has just been fabulous. It is definitely on my bucket list to get there. Another place to visit, a little bit warmer than Antarctica, would be the Galapagos. Again, there are both land trips as well as cruise opportunities to visit the Galapagos, and that is those are happening now as well. So I feel like most places in the world are open and ready to welcome you as a traveler. And again, it goes back to being prepared. If you work with a travel advisor, that takes a lot of the pressure off of you. And I'll just give an example. I have some clients that are heading to Hawaii this month and in March. And I informed them a couple of weeks ago that the governor of Hawaii was looking at requiring booster shots as a requirement to visit Hawaii without having to quarantine. And they have made no decisions yet on how and if that's going to proceed that way. But as soon as I saw that notification, I let my clients know so that they're prepared. And I continue to watch to see what revisions that they are going to make in terms of that and how that will work. In Hawaii, as it works today, if you are vaccinated, you can submit your vaccination card as proof to get an exemption from having to quarantine, or you can do COVID testing. And there's very specific requirements for that for Hawaii. And so those are the kinds of things that I walk my clients through being able to do. The same thing with cruising. Things shifted very quickly when we were hit with Omicron. And some cruise lines did cancel their cruises for a short period of time. Other cruise lines added additional requirements. For instance, on the cruise I was on, we were required to wear our masks whenever we were in any indoor space, with the exception of eating and drinking or when we were in our cabins. So masks were required. Some tightened their requirements for COVID testing. There are different options for COVID testing. And again, it depends on the cruise line. For Celebrity, we were able to do an observed home test, not the home test that you run to your local drugstore or one of the ones you get in the mail, but we had to order our tests from eMed. And then when you are ready to take your test, which we did in the comfort of our hotel room in Florida, we logged into their website, and then a person actually came on, and you can't open the box. You have to show them that the box has not been tampered with. And then while they're observing you, you open it, you go through the whole testing regimen, and you're observed the entire time. And so we were able to do that in order to have our COVID test for our cruise. So with some cruise lines, that is an option. But this is why it is so important to have a travel advisor to help you keep up on all these things, because they literally change all the time. Another example of that is where you can visit and how you can visit. Those things changed as well. So on this cruise that we just went on, initially we were going to be able to visit all the islands as we wanted to. So you could either do an excursion with the cruise line or go off on your own. About a week and a half before we cruised, we saw on the website that now it was a requirement because of Omicron that you could only leave the ship if you were on a ship excursion. So you couldn't go off on your own at a couple of the locations. The cruise lines are watching this so closely that a couple of days into our cruise, the captain came on and said that they had reviewed everything, and based on everything that was going on, we were actually able to, in Aruba and Curacao, go off on our own if that's what we chose to do. The other thing that the cruise lines, I feel, are doing a good job at is keeping the passengers informed of what's going on. When we were on this cruise, about 2 days in, he made a ship-wide announcement that somebody had tested positive, had symptoms, and had tested positive for COVID. They had done contact tracing, and they had tested the people who had been around this individual, and everyone tested negative. And then we didn't really hear anything more about it until maybe a day or last sea day, the captain came on and made an announcement that that we had a total of 3 passengers out of 1,000 who had tested positive. The one that I had previously mentioned, and then that person's travel companion eventually tested positive. And then they did some testing on the ship of passengers who were either returning to a foreign country and required a test, or if they were going to do a back-to-back cruise, they got a test. And so one of those passengers that were tested also tested positive. And then he also let us know that I think it was nine crew members had also tested positive. So with 1,000 passengers, there was a total of 12 cases. And the captain informed us that since Christmas, that was the lowest caseload of COVID on their ships. So he just had really good feelings that things were starting to calm down. And the fact that we were all following, the right procedures, I'm sure helped along that way. So the cruise lines are working really hard to make sure that passengers can have a safe and fun vacation. And I'm here to tell you, not as a travel advisor, but as a passenger, I had a great time. And other than having to wear a mask, it was just like every other cruise vacation that I had pre-pandemic. So I just encourage people, if you want to travel, get out there and do it. There's so many places in this world to see, and take advantage of every opportunity that you have. And I am here. I am happy to help you make your vacation dreams, make your bucket list things happen. And my contact information is on the screen. Feel free to give me a call. I love talking to people. You can text me as well. And there's my email address as well as my website. So I look forward to hearing from you and talking about your travel desires.
Sandy, for people who are listening on the radio, can you just share your contact information?
Absolutely. My phone number is 571-297-7676. And my email address is sandy.adams@cruiseplanners.com. And my website is escapesandgetaways.com, because that's what we all want to do.
Sandy, another brilliant show. You bring us so much relevant information and so much inspiration to know that we can get out, we can travel, that the cruise lines and hotels and other destinations and proprietors are following guidelines. And to have the latest information, Sandy Adams is the one to contact. All right.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this today.
Thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you. Sandy is coming back on a regular basis and bringing us more wonderful photographs and information about her trips. Where's the next one too, Sandy?
I'll be going to the Royal Bahamian the Sandals Royal Bohemian in Nassau, and they've just did a complete renovation and just reopened not too long ago, I think in November. So I'm very excited to see that, and I'll be going there in May.
Fabulous. Well, we'll look forward to having you back again, and stay safe and keep smiling and keep traveling.
Thanks. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks. Take care. Bye, Sandy.
Bye.
Wow, so much wonderful information. I see several of you did put comments. I'm sorry that we didn't get to them, but you know how to reach Sandy directly. And our next show is coming up in 8 minutes, and it's the United Kingdom news and culture. I'll be joined by my co-host, Diane Floyd-Bame, and our special correspondents, Ian Pelham-Turner, Helena Shard, and Simon McDonald. They'll be bringing us news directly from the UK, which includes London and also Scotland. So do stay tuned for that. We hope that you will continue to join us. Thanks again, Sandy, and thanks to all of you. We'll be right back.